Surprised me at all. All right, so I started it here. So, hi, I'm Abram. This is the podcast. I'm here with Hannah Chan. Hi, Hannah.
What's up? I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So, Hannah came from a corporate world, got into powerlifting, got really freaking good at powerlifting, casually broke records, and became a powerlifting coach. Started coaching people like online, had a successful business, decided to start coaching other coaches on how to be a successful coach. And now she's transitioning into giving up her lease in like this amazing apartment that I see in all of your videos to travel the world. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Thanks for the amazing intro.
Yeah.
Very accurate. And yeah, like you said, travel is always one of those things that I wanted to do. And now that I've got the freedom and the stability in my business, it's like, why not? It's super out of my comfort zone, but I think it's one of those things that everyone says they want to do. So I thought, hey, why not stop talking about it and actually do it?
Yeah. So we're just, before I even get into the first question, I know I'm like already changing what I wanted to do. Now I'm just curious. Where have you been so far? Where have you traveled since you started like this online life?
Yeah. I've traveled to Miami, San Diego, Paris, Croatia, Mexico. I'm counting. I'm gonna be going to Arizona in next week, and then Miami once again. And then after I go back to London to break my lease, it's literally just gonna be like wherever we feel like it. I think we might look at the top 10 restaurants in the world and then travel to those places.
Perfect. Yeah, and it's amazing that you can even do this. Miami is actually one of the places that we're booking to go in about maybe 4 or 5 months. But we're going to go to the Grand Canyon first. But one of my clients was just telling me she has an Airbnb in Miami. So I'm actually going to go there to her Airbnb. And she said, as long as you don't mind basically naked people everywhere. And I was like, oh, that sounds, I don't mind that at all. And she's like, yeah, the last time I was there was someone that was twerking by the elevator, and she was easily over 300 pounds and in a thong. And I was like, oh, great. So sign me up for Miami. So I'll be going there as well. So I'm sure that's why you want to go there as well.
Yes, exactly. To see people who are 300 pounds twerking a thong.
Yeah. should be fun. So one thing I'm also really curious about, and what we should actually dive into, because the whole point of this podcast is to learn how to be successful, financially, emotionally, physically, mentally. So what would be something that people take away immediately now? Well, like what's the biggest mistake you made in your business early on that you feel like people should avoid, or that you think that would be a good learning moment?
Yeah, great question. So I don't want to get into anything that's super, super tactical because every business requires a different strategy within different niches. But I would say let's break it up into two sections: before I got the right help and after. So the biggest mistake that I made in the very beginning was definitely not getting help from the beginning. The reason why that is because I was in this mindset of, oh, I want to figure it out by myself. I want to save money. I want to save money. I don't want to have to pay someone and risk it not working. But what I didn't realize is you ultimately don't know what you don't know. So for me, I spent ages doing stuff that didn't even matter, like trying to build a website, trying to choose my brand colors, trying to pick a logo, just stressing over the bio of my website, when it turns out I didn't even need a website in the first place. And the other thing related to that is really the mindset when it comes to wanting to start a business. A lot of the time people want to start, but they are in almost like preparation mode forever, where they'll do a bunch of research, they will ask friends for their advice, but they'll never ultimately start implementing and doing the things that actually matter. So it's that, and also caring about what friends and family think. I see that all the time too. When you are trying to build a brand or make a name for yourself, it does require you to go out of your comfort zone. It does require you to start posting on social media and being real, right? Being vulnerable, getting yourself out there. It's not uncommon that your friends and family start to tell you to be realistic, or they start to say things that might not be super encouraging. And it's not necessarily that they don't love you, but it's just that that's their limiting beliefs. right? And you can't let your friends and family affect how you approach business if they don't have the success that you want. So that's kind of before getting the right help. Now, strategy wise, I definitely say charging too low, charging way too low prices. When I started wanting to do things for free and then charging like £30 a month. And the clients that I got wouldn't even value what I told them to do. So I would care more than the client. I would have to ask them to, fill out their nutrition diary. I would have to ask them, hey, are you even doing the exercises that I prescribed for you? Because I see you on Instagram just maxing every other session, and that's not what I told you to do. So I'm a true believer that at the very beginning of business, charging higher prices, so charging $1,000 and above per client is the way to go, because that's going to allow you to build your business a lot quicker. If you have a way to charge, say, 4 figures per client, you only need a few clients until you're at full-time income where you can quit. Whereas if you're charging like $30 per client, it's actually incredibly difficult to get enough clients so that you can quit your job.
Yeah. So, I mean, that like what you're saying sounds so easy. I mean, like, I know me and you have both talked to like hundreds of people at this point where you're just like, oh yeah, you should charge more. It sounds easy, but like, is there any way that you found that would actually help someone have the confidence to be able to charge? Like there's, most people don't charge $1,000+ for what they do. Like, how do you even like develop that confidence to be able to charge that much?
Yes, it's looking at it from a place of forget how much it costs you, right? Forget how much time it takes you. You should be basing your prices off what does it mean to the client to get the result? Like, how is it going to change their life? So if we take relationship, like a relationship business, for example, a lot of people are basing their prices per hour, like they're doing one session with me per hour. So it takes up an hour. So I want to charge 50 an hour. But really, you want to look at it based on what does the client get out of this, right? How is their life going to be different? And the magnitude of that change is going to be proportional to what you can charge. So if you're a relationship coach, you're not necessarily just giving someone a 1-hour Zoom call. You are actually there to help someone find the love of their life and get married and have children and build a family, right? That in itself is worth, well, it's priceless. It's worth more than what anyone can ever ask for in terms of monetary value.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. It just gave me goosebumps. I was like, that's so spot on, because like one of the things, for anyone that doesn't know, you were one of the first coaches, well, literally the first paid coach that I've ever had. And like, I paid over $10,000 just to work with you, but it's such a disproportionate value, even at that price point, for what I got versus what you were charging. Like I literally went from like hating my life to like literally living like that 4-hour work week that we were just talking about. Like, I have the ability to travel. Like I can go on 4 vacations a year now versus like once every 2 years. And it's all because of like that disproportionate amount of value that you get for how much you're charging. One of the things that I want to get into too, on top of that, is you said you even invested in like getting coaches, getting people that would be able to like help you along the way, invest in it. How much did you invest initially for you in your business? What was like that price point that you started at? What should someone like expect if they actually want to do more?
Yeah, so I would say it all depends on what is it that you're getting. If it's a course, then nowadays it's quite common for courses to be anywhere from 1,500 to around 3,000, right? For just a course. If they're looking for mentorship, then they might be looking at kind of 5,000 and above for the right person who's actually, who knows what they're doing. So it all depends. When I first invested, this was, I think, 4 years ago, and it was a course that was worth the entire monthly paycheck. So I was taking home around $2,200 at the time, £1,700. And that course was around that much. So for me, it was very scary, especially when I didn't have the same mindset that I have now when it comes to investing. Back then, I was really new to the game of business. I was really looking at it from a place of, what if it doesn't work and it's a lot of money? When looking back, if nowadays I'm investing not based on how much it costs right now, but based on what I'm going to get out of it. So recently I just invested, $9,000 in a mindset coach because I want to be a better person for my team, for my clients, and just in general. So nowadays, sometimes it's still scary because ultimately you're taking the leap, you're going first. But just that mindset switch, I found a lot of successful people have is they look at it from a place of not what if it doesn't work out, but hey, what if it does? It's going to completely change the trajectory of my life. But also, hey, not just how much does it cost me right now, but how much does it have the potential to make me? Because I'm looking at it nowadays, even when I invest in Facebook advertising in our biggest month, we were investing like, $1,500, $2,000 a day, which was like 60K a month into Facebook advertising, right? And I was taking the fear out of it. I wasn't looking at it from a place of, oh, this is a lot of money. I was looking at it from a place of, hey, for every dollar that I can invest, we're getting like $3, $4 out.
That's amazing. Were you always like this? I mean, I know you're saying that like one of the mindset shifts that you had was switching between like I should try to do this myself versus I should invest in myself to be able to do this, like figure out like the Benjamin Hardy wrote a book with Dan Sullivan. It's called Who Not How, and he talks about like finding the person that can shortcut that process for you. So that's one of the mindset shifts that you made, but have you always had this mindset of I'm going to be successful, or like, did you have this even when you were in school in powerlifting, or when did that develop for you?
Well, I can say that I was very competitive in the beginning. So whether that was against myself or against other people, I always wanted to win. I had this mentality in the past where like I would play to win. So in powerlifting, I became number one in GB, broke records. Academically, I did super, super well, even though I could have tried way harder, graduated with good grades. But when it came to business and entrepreneurship, I didn't even know how to spell the word entrepreneur. I was like, oh, so those are people who are like super, super smart, have loads of connections, and they're inventing some, new technology breakthrough or something. That's not me. I don't have the skill set. I didn't realize that it was simply anyone who didn't want to work for someone else and just wanted to do their own thing. In the beginning, it was actually my ex-boyfriend who introduced me to that entire world because he was talking about how much he didn't like his job and how he wanted to do his own thing. And ironically, I was the one who was like, come on, babe, be serious. You're not going to work. Until I started looking at what successful people did. And I found the common threads, which were, oh, they actually all started out with no real skills, who were broke, but they just had the mindset and the determination to learn, and also the risk-taking behaviors, which was that they were willing to take scary risks that most people weren't willing to take. So then I thought, well, if I want the success that they have, then I should probably model the way they think and the behaviors that they take. So that was really, I guess, how I evolved.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're still evolving too. I mean, you just invested in a lot into it, or I shouldn't even say a lot. Let's just say you invested a disproportionate amount of value that you're going to get in this mindset coach, because you're going to be able to just take your mindset, your action, your beliefs, your ability to take the business to another level because you keep investing. It sounds like something you've been doing a lot of. Even on top of that, like the amount of action you take is like ridiculous. And it's like it seems like you are like a productivity like monster, but that's just because of like the results that you get from like what you take. So I don't even know if it's like time spent in doing what you're doing, or it's just the fact that you've done such a good job collectively of connecting with the right people who can shortcut this whole process, and that has taken you to the success you have. So what would you say? Do you think it's more like time and energy, or do you feel like it's more trying to get into the right mindset to have that success?
I would say it's ultimately about changing your mindset first and changing your identity first, because a lot of people are so focused on, hey, what do I do and how many hours I spend in business. It doesn't really matter how hard you try or how many hours you spend in business if you're not ultimately being the person who needs to get the results in the first place. And it's so overlooked. Identity is one of the key things when it comes to getting results. Is in order to get the result that you want, whether it's make 6 figures or quit your job, you have to first become the person who achieves that result. And then once you fully believe and you become that person, then that's when you start acting and making decisions like the person that you need to be in order to get the result. For me, yeah, like I would say looking back, the biggest win isn't necessarily the revenue or the business or anything like that. It's really who I've become and the way I look at life or approach business. I remember, yeah, like after that $1,500 investment, my next one was like 10K, and then next one was 18K, and then it was 18K again. And, just I continue to invest in, Facebook ads, team members, projects here and there, copywriters, things like that. And I always look at it from a place of, this is an investment that is going to get either myself or the business to the next level. But I'm not perfect. So for me, one of the things that I'm working on is I've always, gotten outward success, but at the expense of really robbing myself from having fun. So, making a lot of money, say in 2019, we experienced pretty explosive growth, but I also killed myself in the process of doing that. I would take sales calls at 10 p.m. at night because of the time difference in London. And I justify it to myself, saying things like, oh, hustle and grind, I'm going to do whatever it takes to reach my goals, or else I'm a loser, and things like that. And even when I traveled in 2019 to like 5 to 6 different countries, I never took a vacation. I just worked in a different country, which is the main difference. Until recently, I thought, hey, like, what's the point in having a business that allows you to have freedom if you force yourself to suffer in the process of growing the business? So that's kind of why I hired the mindset coach, is to help me shift my belief so that I can approach business from a place of, I don't want to be the hardest working business owner. I want to be the laziest business owner in the world, because if I can get the same amount of stuff done in 4 hours a week, right, and actually have a profitable business, then there's no honor in working 10 hours a day just so you can say you do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually super powerful. I wish people would just like take that snippet. I'm actually gonna take that clip. I'll put it everywhere, because that is so spot on. Believing you are that future person that you want to be and acting as that person is the only way that you're actually going to get there. One of the reasons I was successful, like going through like your mentorship, is because right away I knew I was going to be successful. It wasn't like a matter of like if, it was just like, when will I be successful? And then taking that confidence and then taking the calls with people, even though I didn't actually have a business, I didn't even have an offer. I didn't have any of it. I just knew that if I were to follow, A, B, and C, I should get the next logical step. And I would get there by having those things in place. And one of the things you said just stuck with me, because that's one of the things that I've struggled with for a long time. Like I easily put in 60+ hour weeks for years. Like there was a stretch in my life where I worked literally every day for over 2 years, which is like, to look back on now it sounds crazy because now I'm scheduling vacations every 90 days. But you said, like you want to be a lazy person. So do you ever feel lazy right now?
Oh, absolutely. I feel lazy all the time. And that's one of the things too, is the biggest thing that my coach is helping me, and he does NLP. He's helping me reframe the way I see lazy as like, it's not a bad thing. It's a trait that you can leverage, because it means that it's going to force you to work high level, think more strategically, and outsource more stuff, right? So for example, just recently, I decided to just outsource my Facebook ads. I hired my boyfriend to write my Facebook ads and outsource my email sequence. And then I hired another a copywriter to do my email sequence. So when you have that constraint on yourself, it almost forces you to think higher level and get people to do stuff for you.
Yeah, we should give a little bit of background. She did not hire a random guy that is her boyfriend. Can you give a little bit of background on Ed, please? So like people know you're not just, oh, wow, I'm doing so much, I just gave it to this guy.
Where do I start? Okay, over 2 years ago, I don't know how many of your audience know Dan Locke, but my boyfriend was working as Dan Locke's head copywriter. And 2.5 years ago, his friend sent him a picture of me. I was on some business coach's landing page. and said to Ed, that girl's so your type. So earlier this year, we started talking on Facebook. I saw him. I was like, who's that guy? Googled his name, searched him up on YouTube, came to the conclusion that he's either, either people love him and he's got some cult, or he's some like mini celebrity in the copywriting space. So we started talking, and 2 weeks later, he bought a plane ticket out from Vancouver to London, which was a 9-hour journey to meet me for the first time.
Yeah. And Ed is someone I definitely want to get on the podcast too. But the point is that Ed is a professional copywriter. In fact, he's so professional that he was the one doing the copywriting for the king of high ticket sales. So like, if you're a professional copywriter and you're hiring Ed, you're doing well. So like, yeah, so you hired your boyfriend who is a legit pro, not a random person.
Yep.
So what are some things, one of the things that you said you were doing was basically to create like your environment, create your scenario in a way that kind of like makes you forced to be more productive. So what are some things that you do to remain so productive so your business can continue to grow, so you can grow as a person, physically, mentally, emotionally? Like what do you do? What do you put constraints on it? Do you put, what do you do that our audience could dig into?
Yeah. So the first thing is actually writing out and mapping out what are the tangible tasks that I need to get done. When it comes to making a list, I think a lot of people get it wrong, where they'll make a list, but it's not things that they can cross out. So for example, instead of writing, learn more about marketing, right, which is a bullet point, which is indefinite, you don't know whether you've done it, you should actually say, watch 2 YouTube videos on marketing, right? So for me, what I do is I will make a list when it comes to a project like launching a new funnel of every single thing that I need to get done, right? And then I will put those things and time block them out in my calendar. So what I'll do is I will try to only allow myself to work, say 3-4 hours a day. And then when I have that constraint, then I physically force myself to be productive, because time expands if you let it, right? It's like if you have a massive pizza on a plate and it's just there and you tell yourself you're going to stop at 2 slices, you're just going to eat the whole thing because pizza is pizza. But if you only physically have like 2 slices of pizza on a plate, then you're forced to only eat 2 slices. So I give myself that constraint. And then I also think, what is the thing that I don't like to do? And then I will pay someone else to do that who is better than me.
Gotcha. And I mean, those are already like good constraints for like the business side of it. What do you do to force yourself to like stay in shape? What do you do? Do you have like a morning routine that you follow? Do you have like a consistent workout program, or what do you do in that realm just to stay fit, physically?
Yeah. So I go to the gym 4 times a week. I used to train super hardcore powerlifting, but since I started business, I just wasn't enjoying powerlifting as much, which, nothing wrong with that. It just didn't feel as important to me. So then I just transitioned. Now I was working with a bodybuilding coach, Jared Feather. I don't know if anyone knows of him, but he does my programming. So he sends it to me. I go to the gym. I train 4 times a week. I leave the gym and I really look at the gym from a place of just using it so that I feel good, right? And then the aesthetic benefits are secondary to that.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the right mindset for going into it. Cause I know like a lot of people that I know, just having worked as a personal trainer, like we always feel like our program needs to be like super complicated. We have to like do all these different things. We need to be like in peak physical condition, like 24/7. I always look like we can step on like, like on the cover of something. But like one of the things you said is spot on though. You should always feel better leaving the gym than when you go there. So you're saying that like what you're doing physically is helping out like your mentality side of it. So do you do something either before or after the gym in order to like keep that type of like good emotions going?
You know what? I don't have any cool fancy routines. I don't have a super amazing morning routine. I wake up, I, shower, make a cup of tea, and then I read on my sofa. I'll set a timer with Alexa. I'll be like, Alexa, count down 30 minutes. And then I'll read a book while I have my tea. And then I'll map out the day. So that's my morning routine. It's nothing, nothing groundbreaking. But the most important thing is that you can stick to it and it makes you feel good. So yeah, that's my routine.
Is that how you do your goal planning then? Do you do it like day by day? Like I plan what I'm going to do today on that day, or I guess you probably have different things, because you just said one of your goals is to be traveling, all around, live that laptop lifestyle. So like, how do you do your goal planning?
Yeah. So what I do is I'll map out the week, like what I need to get done that week. And then I'll break it down to the day. So normally I like structure, but also things can never be 100% structured. So when I add too much certainty to exactly what task I to do, like down to the hour, it tends to stress me out a bit. So what I'll do is I'll make a bullet point of every single thing I need to do that week. And then as the week goes on, I will assign it to each day. So I don't tend to know exactly what I'll do until the night before. So every evening I will just free journal, end of the day, how I felt, what went well, what could have got done better. And then I'll also map out the things I need to do tomorrow. So technically the next day's tasks are always done the night before.
Gotcha. You're using some of that I forgot who said that. He said, never go to sleep without a request to your subconscious. There's some truth to that, to writing your goals down or what you want to get done the night before. I feel like you can just wake up and the day just kind of flows into it. Like, exactly, like even subconsciously, if you were to not like write down what you're going to do the next day, or even like in the week, you wake up the next day and then like that laziness just progresses into more laziness. And eventually you're like all the way down in the bottom of the day. And you're like, I don't even know what to do anymore. Even though like you could have figured something out, but when you need to spend all that brain power, especially when you wake up in the morning, you're like, now I got to like do all the stuff and figure it out. So how long have you been doing that for? This type of planning? It sounds like you're kind of like a mix of like just before, weekly, and then you also have like a big goal on top of that. So
yeah. So in terms of how long I've been doing that, I've always been naturally a really like structured or process driven person. So I want to say in the beginning, like since I started business, I've been taught that process. And then from then I've just constantly refined it until I found a way to map out my weeks that work for me. And one thing I also want to mention is I found that the way a lot of successful people think is they can map out what they need to do that week or that month, but ultimately they're focused on the process, not the end result. So they're focused on, hey, trusting that if I just get through today and if I do the task I say I'm going to do this week, then the results are going to come eventually. Because a lot of people, I think they get to tunnel vision on like, hey, I want to get down to 120 pounds, or like, I want to get down to 120 pounds. They're so focused on the result, where the best way to get there is actually focus on, hey, let me make sure I'm actually just hitting my reps at the gym today and sticking to my diet today. And then I'm going to trust and know that the result is going to come eventually if I just do the daily reps.
Yeah, and that's something that you actually told me about. It's like tracking the leading versus the lagging indicators. So exactly what you're talking about. So if you're tracking like the indicators that will lead to success, success should be inevitable. So do you also do the same thing for like your income goals? Do you have like I want to make a dollar amount on this day, this week, or is it more big picture? It sounds like you've transitioned into lifestyle, or maybe they're all combined.
Yeah. So the way I do it is I have a revenue goal that we want to hit, and then I will back engineer it to, okay, so say it's like 100K just for numbers sake. 100K, okay, that's 10 sales. How many sales calls do we need to hit 10 sales? So that might be 100 sales calls, right? So then how much ad spend do we need to book 100 sales calls? Yeah, what's our cost per lead that we need to hit in order to get like, a cost per app at $200 per application, for example. So then I'll use that math to figure out, this is what the ad spend needs to be this month in order to hit 100K this month. And that's all good and well in theory, right? So it's good to have that structure, but then of course, in actual reality, there's going to be some some ebbs and flows, and it's not always going to be that accurate. So I think it's nice to have that mapped out in theory, but then also to give yourself the flexibility to adjust if you need to be. Because, hey, business owner, everyone has a bad month where they don't hit their targets. Everyone has months where they just don't feel good mentally, or Facebook ads suddenly get really, really expensive. So there's one thing to map out the goals and have clarity on the numbers you need to hit. And then there's another to be able to adapt to it and not freak out if things don't go exactly as planned.
Like having bad months, I feel like is like, you could probably speak to this way better than I can, because like I haven't been in business for I've had my online component in my business for just about 9 months now. But like the income I make month to month, like my worst month ever was a little over $5,000, which is like great. Like if that's your worst month, but that's way different than, $20,000. What do you do to like stop yourself from like beating yourself up, like mentally, emotionally, when you have, those dips, because you also have those really high highs when you're an entrepreneur, but the lows suck so bad. So what do you do to like stop yourself from like, drinking all night? Yeah.
A big thing, and this was a massive learning curve for me, is not assigning your identity to your business success and to your revenue. Because when you start business, it's so easy to anchor your success of how much money you make month to month. It's so easy to feel like, oh, I made 20K this month, so I'm top of the world and I'm better than everyone else and I rock. And then when we take that same mindset, well, what if you make 2K the next month? Then you're suddenly telling yourself you're a loser and that, you're not worthy or whatever, right? So it's easy to assign meaning to your revenue numbers. And it doesn't mean anything, right? It's just, hey, you hit this number in revenue, that's great. But if your business goes down the next month, it doesn't mean you suck. It just means you had a bad month. And that's the clear distinction, in my opinion, is not to internalize what it means when you have a bad month to make it about you and your identity.
Gotcha. So like, how do you balance that then? So like, if I am tying up my identity and like the success of my business, because my business is my baby, like it's like, if I don't tie the success to it, wouldn't that also mean that when I have really big successes, it'll be hard for me to celebrate because it's just kind of like, oh, there's success, just like, oh, there's failure. How do you like, tie your identity to constantly being, fulfilled with what you're doing, regardless of the success? And then how do you like celebrate wins or adjust for losses then?
Yeah, I think it's having stuff outside business that's meaningful to you. So for me, when business was like everything to me, I also had no friends, had no hobbies, had no life. My entire worth or like self-esteem was based around how much money I made in business and what goals I was hitting month to month. And I think the biggest thing here, at least for me, is finding things outside of business that matter to you, like growing as a person, right? Or improving as a girlfriend, for example. And having new hobbies and ultimately just having a life outside of business that can really help, because then it's almost like your identity is spread across 5 different things. And so if your business goes down, then it takes less of a hit to your ego because you're not putting all your like self-esteem eggs in one basket, for example. But it's having that emotional maturity, I think, to be able to realize, hey, if I had a bad month, it doesn't mean that no one loves me. And it doesn't mean that I'm any less of a person and that my wife hates me and my kids don't want to be with me anymore. It just means that you had a bad month in business, and we should normalize that, because in our space, it's easy for everyone to share their wins and share how much money they make and share how much they're growing. When if we take a step back, hey, for every win, there's also a lot of people who are struggling or who have a bad month. And that's not to be negative. It's just to show people that we only see the good stuff a lot of the time. Like, we don't see the bad. And it's almost to normalize the fact that it's normal. In fact, it'd be weird if a business just went well and they had no bad months, because it means that when things are bad, which they will eventually happen, it will be really, really bad.
Yeah. And I feel like, like as you like grow I don't know how to say this, like grow up in business.
Mm.
Like your success and your problems correlate so perfectly. Like the more success you have, it's because you've solved bigger and bigger problems. So as you gain more success, you're not really getting rid of all of your problems. You're getting better at handling bigger and bigger problems. So like on top of that, you are trying to like get to a point where you can be like not a firefighter, but someone that can handle these problems on like a consistent basis. Like, and I know that you've had really big months where you are making, I don't know, what would you say is like your biggest revenue month that you've had?
That's 200K.
200K. Okay. So if you're making 200K a month, how do you celebrate that? Like what does Hannah do to celebrate? Hey, I'm actually doing well and I'm not tying my whole identity into this income. I have a life outside of this. So what do you do to celebrate now?
Now, what I do to celebrate, probably go out for dinner. And that would, you know, I want to have like this super cool answer of what I do to celebrate if I hit another like milestone, but it's really just be happy about it, go out for dinner, celebrate, have a nice time, and then continue working. Because it's really cool to hit new highs, new numbers, but also it's almost like I know so many people who they say they want to hit that like elusive 10K month, and then they hit it and they're like, okay, what's next? It's just another number. So on one hand, like I will recognize that, hey, we worked hard, we deserve it, we did well, but then it's almost just, this is kind of the same. Let's get back to work.
Yeah. And one of the things that like drew me to like you and your whole coaching program is just how authentic you are like as a person, and like you just share like your life, and it's probably what makes your writing, your videos so easy to stay consistent, because it's actually like your life. We'll be talking about something and then I'll see a post about it like 2 days later. So I'm like, all right, she definitely wrote this down to talk about, or like some aspect will be inside there. And this is something you'd probably be better to like actually comment on than like anyone, because you're in the coaching space. What are your thoughts on like being able to spot an authentic versus like a charlatan for a coach, if you're even looking for someone, whether it's you, whether they're looking for a copywriter or they're looking for a personal trainer? How would you spot this?
Yeah, I would say learn to read between the lines of not what they're telling you, but what they're showing you. So is a business coach telling you that they make 6 figures, but they are working out of their bedroom that doubles up as their office in like a super shitty house? Right. So everyone can say things, but you want to look out for, are they walking the walk? Are they actually having the life that I want to be having? For business coaching, it's almost intuitive for me, because I can read someone's content and immediately, based on what they talk about and based on the way they write, I'll be able to tell what revenue level they're at. Because for a lot of business coaches, it's like you look at their profiles and they may have just maybe started 2 months ago, and then before then there's absolutely nothing. And the stuff that they're talking about might be things like, hey, 3 ways to pick a niche, which is very, very entry level topics. So I would say first look out for how long they've been doing it, like their track record, their client results, and also what they're talking about. Are they showing you and teaching you things that you've never heard before? Or are they telling you things that, everyone knows if they've been around the block for more than once? When it comes to fitness coaching, it's also not just looking at their physique, but what are they showing you in terms of how they eat? So this may be counterintuitive, but at least in my opinion, if a fitness coach is shredded, but all they're posting is chicken and broccoli and boiled eggs in Tupperware, then I'm actually going to be a bit skeptical about hiring that person, because to me, it means that their philosophy is that if I want to get shredded, then I'm going to have to really, really give up my happiness and my lifestyle. I'd much rather hire a fitness coach who shows me they are living a life that I want. They're still going out for dinners, drinking from time to time, and they have a decent physique. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to relationship coaches too, is like, are they in a relationship that they are happy with, right? Or are they single because they try to justify it with some weird reason? I'm not saying that all relationship coaches have to be in a relationship, because even some relationships aren't perfect, But I think if someone learns to read between the lines and looks at, hey, not just what the coach is telling you and not just the claims they're making, but the life that they're living, are they living a life that I want to live? Then that's a great way to tell whether someone's legit or they're just, doing it for the money.
Yeah, and it's the one of the things I learned from you like really early on was the fact that you don't just share your wins. You share like really shitty things that are going on like in your life or business. Oh, and like it really made you come across as more of a person versus like if you see someone only posting, I'm living on a beach, things are great, but they're wearing like the same like, swim shorts for like 10 months. And you're like, all right, do they not have a new wardrobe or do they just like take pictures when they're on vacation for a week? Like you see like the same type of people. So how do you justify like sharing like the down ends of your business, your life, and still be able to like attract an audience to be able to like, show that you can help them? Because if it's a lot easier to say, hey, I can help you get to 20K months and do this thing, and you show all this success, but it'll feel unbelievable at first. But if that's all you see, you think, okay, this person can help. But then you also see that same person say, oh, this is our worst month like ever. There's got to be like a balancing act to that. How do you decide to even be open enough for that? Like, is that something that you recommend people do?
Yeah. So I would say it definitely takes tact. Like, you don't want to be doing anything that's going to ultimately like damage your brand and your credibility, right? So there is kind of like a strategy behind it, although it is largely intuitive. So for me, part of the reason why I like to be honest is because it obviously builds trust with our audience when everyone else is trying to make bigger claims, bolder claims. If I can just be truthful and tell people what no one else wants to tell them, and if I can just tell people what they might not want to hear, but what they need to hear, then hey, that works for me. But also, I think it's much better in the sense that it helps set the expectations of the client coming in. So this was a learning curve for me too. In the past, I would only talk about like how amazing our client results are, the best client results. But what I found is it's much better to be real so that when the client comes in, they know that it's something that requires work. They know that it's something that requires risk. And it just helps almost coach the potential client's mindset before they come in, where they know, hey, this is something which isn't I press a button and money gets deposited into my bank account. This is something where if I do it, I'm doing it at my own risk because it's an investment, because there's always a chance that it might not work, as opposed to just showing people the good stuff.
Yeah. And that actually is one of the main things I feel like is different inside of like I call it like a quote unquote sales process, because it's more like you're being a consultant for them and saying that you're like diving into like their life to honestly see if they're a good fit first. Then if they are, then you can go into like potential ways that like what you do could benefit them, as opposed to just being like, all right, here's my offer. It's on a website, take it or leave it. Like if it's something you want. And that's probably one of the reasons, because these people have connected with you, that you are able to charge, right off the bat, thousands of dollars for what you offer, because they know that you have that type of mentality that it's like, can I actually help this person? And, I already know it's worth thousands of dollars more. Going off of that, then, if you are trying to balance that of, this could potentially help this person versus should I push to get this person to do it, or should I be more of like a take it or leave it approach? If you're in that leadership type of style where you are being authentic, you're sharing your wins, you're setting the expectations, where's the balancing act for that? Should you push someone to sign up with you as a coach, or depending on whatever their offer is, maybe they do health, fitness, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So it really depends on the person. If I feel like, hey, this person is going to absolutely crush it and do really, really well, and they just need someone to be in their corner, then I will do my best to push to get them in so that as a team, we can work through their fears together, right? And help them overcome their fears together. Because a lot of people, the reason why they don't do it is because they just let themselves and their fear talk themselves out of it, because investing is out of their comfort zone. which is why most people don't get the result. It's not because they lack the skills or the ability. It's just because they let fear get the better of them and they end up staying in their comfort zone.
Mhm.
So I always like to think, hey, I can't actually go to bed at night if I know that I didn't challenge someone hard enough just because I was scared of what it might look like to me. I would much rather push someone hard until they hate me, but they'll thank me 3 months down the line when they make enough money to quit their jobs. And our best clients, actually, ironically, some of our best clients have been the ones who either come in, no objections. They're like, yeah, I knew it was this much, I'm in. Or they've been clients who have been a pain in the butt on the sales.
Not to name names, but Dan.
Yes, Dan being one of them, Eleanor being one of them, Abigail, they're also
let's just go down the laundry list of people that were a pain in the ass and then just absolutely crushed it in the program. Yeah.
Yes, they're the ones who I've had to do like either 30 minutes of going back and forth with to try to help them think through it the right way, or had multiple follow-up calls with, and they've all crushed it to make 10+K months.
Mm-hmm. So if you are trying to like coach someone through that fear, because I'm sure people that watching this are also, they're either coaches, they're thinking about getting in the coaching space, or they just want to be in a position in their job, their career, where they have that confidence, the same type of mindset that you have to push when it's an appropriate time to push. So how do you get past that fear of, I don't know if I'll be able to, ask for what I want? Like, what do you say to someone that's like, I don't have that much confidence to just say, yeah, you should do this?
Yeah, it's almost like we're not just coaches, we're leaders. And one of the huge things about being a leader is putting the other person before yourself. So, hey, we're all in this space because we want to help people, right? And helping people means that you're willing to give up your own comfort for the benefit of the other person you're talking to. Because when push comes to shove, if we say we're here to help someone, but we care more about our personal reputation with them than really being in their corner so we can change their lives, then it's almost like, are we really in it to help someone, right? So that's how I look at it, is I'd much rather get off the phone with someone and I can go to bed knowing that I did everything in my power to empower them to do something about a life that they don't like, than go to bed thinking like, damn, because I didn't push them hard enough, they might be evicted 2 months down the line.
Yeah. And that's actually like spot on. Like there's so many people that, I've talked to, you've talked to, and just like people in the space in general, because there are a lot of like good coaches out there. There's also a lot of bad ones. Have you personally ever invested in any like coaches that you thought were going to be good? They pushed you out of your comfort zone and ended up not being a good fit for you overall?
It's so funny because almost everything I've invested in, I've never needed to be pushed. Like I've never been on a sales call where I was hard closed into anything at all. A lot of the time when I get on a call, it's almost like I know it's an investment. I know it's scary, but I've already committed to doing it. And that's probably part of the reason why I sell so well, because I am the prospect that I want my prospects to be when it comes to decision making and not being flaky. That said, I would say actually the second the second everything that I invested in wasn't a great fit, not necessarily because the coach didn't try, but more so I thought it was business strategy when it turns out it was very much, woo-woo manifestation. Hey, like, what do you feel like doing?
Yeah. So, well, this is someone that didn't you just invest in a mindset coach?
Yes, but now I know the difference. I know what to look out for. Yeah, he's going well with the current one.
So your mindset is actually improving. So you're saying more like that. It's just like the knowing intuitively this will probably be a good fit in doing your homework beforehand. But what you said right there is really impactful too, because like my best clients that I have ever had, they were people that I was like, all right, it's $3,600 to sign up. And they say, all right, great. And then they just do it. And then I have also had clients that was like, oh, I got to talk to my husband. I don't know. That's a lot of money. Like, I don't know if that's going to be like whatever. I'm like, all right, well, if you want to do it, that's great. If this is something that you want to do, we can move forward, and then I'll let them go. And then most of the time they would depending on how I felt on the call, I've had people come back and then they just absolutely crushed it inside of it and then continued on moving forward. But would you say it's better to not push and hard close someone than it is to like just let the people go that you feel like honestly wouldn't be the best fit for your program then?
So it depends what you mean by like wouldn't be the best fit. If they're not a best fit because you just feel like they're not going to put in the work or that they're going to be like a really difficult client for whatever reason, then I probably wouldn't even make the offer in the first place, because like I've taken on people where, they were showing red flags, but we got them in and not worth it. Not worth it for client success, not worth the potential chargeback, not worth the stress of dealing with a client who is unhappy because they didn't want to follow the process. Just like not worth, not worth it. So that said, in B2C, so in say fitness or relationships, whenever people will tend to say no because of fear versus B2B, which is like, they say no because maybe the business isn't ready for your solution. I like to err on the side of actually pushing, because most people, if they do go away, they tend to not come back.
Yeah, and that's really true. And honestly, like if you are, and just for clarity with people watching this, if you don't have B2C and B2B, you are B2B is business to business, B2C is business to consumer, customer. So like your business selling to a person versus a business selling to a business. So like in the space that we are in, it is entirely a business selling to a person, and finding that right fit. You actually end up getting people that are better off for your offer, as in they're going to see better results. They're going to be better clients. They're not going to cause a headache, and not causing that headache, not being a bad client, is going to cause more time and energy to be able to be spent on the actual people that can crush it. And it's for your own mental sanity too. Like it can sound counterintuitive. I remember when I was a personal trainer, one of my bosses said, like I had a really terrible client and I was like, she's late all the time. I feel like I'm wasting my time. She's not going to see any results. And he said, drop her. And I was like, I need money. What are you talking about? Drop her. I'm not gonna, like, what are you talking? Like, no, just like get rid of her. Like, if she's a bad client, it's not worth seeing her on your schedule. And I was like, you mean to tell me that I can actually drop a client and make more money? And it was spot on. But I feel like you are saying this, I'm saying this, people listening to this are still going to sell to someone. They're going to be an awful client and they still have to learn the hard way, because I know for a fact I heard that before I experienced it. And now I'm completely changed. So I don't know, did you hear that advice beforehand?
Oh, absolutely. And I fell for it too. I think it's one of those things where you kind of have to experience it a few times until you actually commit to saying, no, if someone's showing me red flags, I will not pursue, especially for us, right? Like one of the things that we found is if someone's taking like, over an hour on a sales call and they need 3 follow-ups, then likely they're not a good client. Which is why we put in that rule. Like, hey, if someone's like that, and if they ask weird questions, then just don't make the offer.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Like it's not worth one client coming in and they either don't want to follow the process or they don't quite have the right mind frame. And even if we do everything in our power, they won't have a good experience, and they will end up, going to the banks and getting a chargeback, or just like slandering you on social media, or like hitting you with a fake legal threat. And like none of those things are just worth the time and the energy to deal with. It's much better to just say no to that client than it is to say yes, have that risk happening, and then you kind of think to yourself, damn it, I shouldn't have let them in the program.
Yeah, and that goes back into perfectly you saying you should like act as the person you want to be if you want to be that person. So like if you want to be someone that only works with rock star clients, you better only let rock star clients in. If you want to be someone that doesn't have to feel weird, slimy, and salesy on calls, you should go in there knowing that, hey, I'm literally only here to help you. If you are someone I could help, then I would make the offer, and not giving it to everyone. And obviously it's worked really well for you in your business. Like you've definitely had, I don't know how many people have been in your coaching, in your mentorship program.
Oh, over 300 now.
Okay, so a lot, a lot of people. So it's been going on for a while, and you've seen all of the success. And I swear you have got, I don't know if you still have this, but it was like the most savage bitch in the fitness industry or something like that. But I was like, she is the complete opposite like literally, like you're like the most caring, kind person, and you're always like checking in on other people. You're always trying to see, like, honestly see how you could help other people. And I feel like that just because it's genuinely who you are as a person is a big reason why you have seen the level of success you've had, and why you'll continue to see success is you have that mindset, you have that belief in people, and you're very aligned with what your actions are doing and who you want to be as a person. So before we end this, I just want to say thank you for like everything you've done for me, and for like people in general. It's I hope people can watch this and take a lot of value out of it. But if people do want to connect with you, or they're interested in your mentorship, or they just want to see more about you, how could they connect with you?
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. Thanks for suggesting. You can find me on Instagram at HannahChan921. So my name is spelled the same way it is backwards, HANNAHCHAN, the numbers 921 for September 21st, which is my birthday. And hit me up on Instagram. I can send you some stuff and we can go from there.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, and it's the same thing. She's not going to hard sell anyone. If you're a good fit, she can say something. Or if you just want to learn from someone that has like a really good mindset. So thank you so much for doing this. And I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Yay, amazing. Thank you for having me. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.